Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started for today's guest lecture. So I would like to welcome all of you from wherever you're joining. It might be in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening. So depending on where you connected, we're sending to you our warm greetings. And we are very thrilled to have you connected today for our very first guest speaker series. And today we are discussing language gaps in global health and how to bridge them. So Dr. Kabore Lassane, who is joining all the way from Geneva in Switzerland, will discuss his 15 years learning and practicing English. He will discuss that with us. So he will share his reflection and also tell us a little bit about lessons that he has learned throughout this process, throughout this journey, so that we can benefit from it and absolutely try to use some of his tips in order for us to also reach the level where he is right now. All right, so that being said, I would like to discuss a few housekeeping material before we can move forward. The very first one is that I would like everybody to keep his microphone turned off when he's not speaking, all right? Because we are about 100 people who have registered for this session. So if everybody is speaking at the same time, it probably is not going to work. So what we would like to advise you is turn your microphone off when you are not speaking. And when you would like to ask a question or make a comment, then you can raise your hand. And when they give you the floor, then you can unmute and speak. So this is one element. And what I would like to say is that we will proceed with 3 different sections for this discussion today. The first one is that we'll have a very quick introduction, of Hodoh Universe, which is organizing today's discussion. Second, we'll have a question and answers series with Dr. Kabore, who will try to let us know how he has proceeded with his English learning process up to today. And at the end of the discussion, I will give the floor to the audience so that people can ask their questions as well. All right, so I'd like to introduce today's team. The introduction of the guest speaker will come later on, but I would like to introduce very quickly the team that has organized this session, including myself. I am the moderator for today's session, and my name is Solomon Compaore. I'm a medical epidemiologist, and I am the co-founder of the organization, which is holding the guest speaker series today. And I have my collaborator, Dr. Nyambwe Bado, who is a PhD in many different capacities. He's a linguist, and he's also an expert in remote learning and education. The last one, but not the least, is Lassane Ouedraogo, who will be interpreting today for those who would prefer to listen to this session in French instead. So what I would like to mention is that for those who want to listen to this session in French, please go ahead and click on the globe at the bottom of the screen. And then you will definitely be able to choose the French translation option. All right. So I can't say it myself, but I hope Dr. Bado will look into it and see how we can make it functional. All right. That being said, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Bado, who will proceed to introducing himself briefly and move forward to presenting the organization Hodoh Universe and the different activities and products that it has for our medical community and the community who is interested in health in general. All right, so Dr. Bado, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kabore, and thank you for this introduction. And my name is Niambwe Bado. I have a PhD in educational technology and a master's in applied linguistics. And I'm a specialist in distance education and e-learning in general. So, and it's my honor to introduce Hodoh Universe. Hodoh Universe is an organization dedicated to empowering healthcare professionals worldwide through English language education, interpretation, and coaching. So our motto is educating minds and serving communities. The goals of Hodoh is to break down language barriers and foster a true global health community where everyone can contribute and benefit from the latest scientific advances. So we want to really create a true global community where, professionals and practitioners from different backgrounds can collaborate and contribute and also benefit from knowledge from other people. So our target audience is really the healthcare professionals and health communication professionals and business professionals. That's our target audience right now. So next, let's look at the services that we provide. So Hodoh Universe offers specialized English language programs for healthcare communication and business professionals. It's focusing mostly on terminology and communication skills necessary to collaborate effectively and conduct research and share knowledge internationally. So right now we have a online courses which are synchronous, which means the course is taught live through Zoom where you can see the teacher, you can ask a question and talk to them. We also have asynchronous courses where we develop the online course and you log on to a platform and access the course content and complete the assignments. So we also, in addition to the courses, we also offer personalized coaching and individualized coaching where we assist professional one-on-one. We focus on the specific needs. And we also offer translation and interpreting services. And our services are delivered by really highly educated and experienced professionals in the field of medicine, public health, education, and also linguistic. So when you sign up for our services, you should know that you will be getting a top level quality service and not just from random people who may not know what they are doing. So next, so just to a few things about our current and future courses. Right now we have a three programs going on. We have the fundamentals of English in healthcare. The cohort 1 has started and is almost done. And this course is delivered synchronously, which means the participants log on to Zoom and connect with the teacher and can ask questions, listen to the lectures, and it's conducted live. And then we also have the cohort 2, which is also synchronous, live via Zoom. And we have the one asynchronous fundamentals of English in healthcare course. That one will start on April the 1st. So that means you still have time to enroll in this if you are interested. And we offer personal coaching for health specialists. And we currently have a few specialists we are working with. So in the future, in the near future, we are currently working on a course for English for public health and English for pharmacy and English for business. So these three courses will be coming up soon. We are currently working on them and they will be done soon. So if you would like information on these, on how to sign up for these courses, I will put the link in the chat. Just click on the link and complete the form by giving your name, your email, and contact information. And we will contact you when the course is available. We'll share more information on how to sign up for the course. All right, thank you. And I'm putting the link in the chat. And for those who may not know, just remember at the bottom of your screen, you will see a globe icon, just like a globe icon. If you don't see it, you have to click on more. And then it will, sometime when your computer screen is small, you don't see all the icons. If you don't see a globe icon, click on more. And then when you see it, click the globe icon. It will ask you whether you want to listen to the lecture in English or French. Just choose one of the options. If you want to listen to it in French, you click French and you will hear our wonderful interpreter, Mr. Ouedraogo. Thank you, Dr. Kabore, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Bado, for the presentation of Hodoh Universe and the products that it's proposing to the medical, pharmaceutical community and people who are health enthusiasts in general. So now I think we are coming to the most important part of this meeting, and we are going to go with our keynote speaker, who will share his wonderful experience on 15 years of learning and practicing English in the professional setting. So I would like to introduce him. Dr. Lassane Kabore is a pharmacist. He has a pharmacy degree, a doctoral degree in pharmacy. He has a Master's of Science in International Health, a Master of Science in Public Health, and a PhD. As you can tell, he's a well-educated guy. So it's not it's not random. It's not a random thing that we decided, and we have chosen him to be our very first guest speaker for the Hodoh Guest Speaker Series. So he's a global pundit with a lot of experience and expertise in pharmacy, in epidemiology, in infectious disease prevention and control, and also in the modeling of infectious diseases. He also have a lot of experience and expertise in vaccinology. I'm definitely forgetting, or I'm not in the know of many different fields that he's an expert on, but I guess we'll have the opportunity to hear from him today. So he currently is in Geneva, if I'm not mistaken, but he has lived and worked in many countries, and he has worked with so many INGOs that I won't be able to list all of them here. And he has done that across the globe. He has worked in Burkina Faso, in many other countries in Africa, not only in Francophone Africa, but also in English-speaking African countries. He has also worked, I guess, and lived and studied in the US, and in many countries in Europe as well. So this is a very brief introduction of our guest speaker or our keynote speaker, and we are going to dive straight into our discussion with him today with a very quick, question to introduce this Q&A session. So, Dr. Kabore, is there anything else you would like to add in terms of your professional experience before we can, start with the very first question relating to your English learning experience? Dr. Kabore, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, thanks very much for having me as your first speaker in this series. I'm equally happy to be addressing your distinguished audience. I think your introduction is very comprehensive. The only thing I could add is to say that as most of us, I started my career working at the Ministry of Health for Burkina for a number of years before exploring other professional horizons. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So the very first question, can you take us back to when you first started learning English? What motivated you to do so? And then I guess we can move to the next question after this one. So what was your motivation and when did you first start learning English?
Okay, thanks for that question. This is a throwback in history, but not quite long ago. I think the first time was in 2008. That was shortly after I graduated from the University of Ouagadougou. I think I graduated in 2007. And 2008, I was assigned as regional pharmacist in Ouahouia in northern Burkina. And that's where I started learning English. And the main reason why I wanted to have a good mastery of the English language was that I was aspiring to have a career in the field of public health, as we just described, especially in public health research. And as we all know, the language of science is English. So if you wanted to be successful in your studies and probably in your career, English was not an option. And the other reason for me was that there were some international scholarships opportunities that I could be eligible for. However, first you needed to get admitted to those programs, and one of the criteria to get admitted to those programs was having a good level in English. And therefore, from that moment, I started to try to build on my basic skills in English and try to take it to a different level to be able to achieve those goals that I had set for myself. Over.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So what I can remember from your statement is that English is the language of science, and you cannot do well in that field if you do not master this language and use it well. Thank you very much for this answer. So second question, as a Francophone professional, what were your biggest challenges in learning English, especially in the early stages?
So, I mean, as you know, we study English at school. I mean, before university, we study English at, I think now they even introduce English at primary school. But I think in our time and up until recently, you could start learning English at secondary school. So I think most of us, by the time you get your high school degree, your baccalaureate, and you step to the university, most of us most of us have the basic in English. However, it needed further development and consolidation. And I would surprise the audience by saying that actually, if you have a Francophone background, I don't think it's particularly difficult for you to learn English. I'm saying that because you will see that there are many words that have the same meanings, and there are many words that are spelled similarly or identically. And therefore, I think if you dive deep into it, you find out that it's not as difficult as one might think initially. In comparison, for instance, to someone who has a Chinese background, Japanese, or let's say Indonesian or whatever Asian language, I think for them it's difficult because their alphabet, their characters have nothing to do with English. I've been in teaching programs with some classmates from Asia, and I could see how they struggle with English. So I think for us it's relatively easier. However, to answer to the question, I think there are two things that you need to pay attention if you have a Francophone background. The first one is that the pronunciation, I think, is one of the key issue that you have to master. And even I mean, and this is something that you continuously improve on. It's not like, okay, I'm done. And even if you see pronunciation among different native speakers, if you take British English versus American English versus South Africa or Australia, or even English spoken in Africa, in African countries, sometimes the pronunciation is different. But I think to be able to pronounce words in a meaningful way is a challenge. Sometimes the words are sort of spelled the same way. Let's say, for example, the word social, right? In English, social. In French, you would say social, but the spelling is the same, but the pronunciation is different. And there are numerous examples like this. The other challenge that I can also mention, and which is very important, is the so-called false friends, or en français, on dit les faux amis. You have words that are spelled identically or similarly between English and French, but the meanings are either slightly or totally different. And if you're not careful at the beginning, you'll be misled by those sort of words. I'll give the example of one word. If you take the word deception in English, the same word exists in French, but the meanings are totally different. Deception in English would mean to trick somebody or not to be honest with them. But in French, it means disappointment. So this is one thing. If you take the word sensitive, right? If you say something is sensitive, sensible, say something is sensible, in French, it has a different meaning. Sensible in English means something that has that makes sense. It's a sensible way to do things. But if you take the same in French, it would mean something different. It would rather mean sensitive, sensible en français. So those are some examples that you need to be able to navigate through. But I think as time goes by, as you practice, you get to master those nuances and be able to find your way.
Excellent. So what I can remember here is that there might be challenges in learning English. And a few challenges are the pronunciation, which is one, and also of what you call false friends, which are, words that might be written the same way, but the pronunciation or the meaning are different. But besides those challenges, it's way easier for somebody with a Francophone background to learn English as compared to people coming from Arabic countries or Asian countries and etc. So I think this should be an encouragement for our fellow Francophones to really grasp the opportunity and speed up their learning of the English language. Thank you for that. I think your answer to this question actually touches a little bit on the third question, and I would like to, jump it and move forward to the next one. And on that, basically what we would like to explore here with you is what was the professional impact of English and, your lesson learned throughout this whole process. And the first question is, how has mastering English transformed your career in public health, epidemiology, pharmacy, and vaccinology?
Thanks for that question. This is something I could elaborate on for hours, but we don't have hours, so I try to be as short as I can. So suffice to say that mastering English, it broadens your opportunities, it broadens your horizons, and it opens a lot of doors. So I think maybe I would just give an example. I think if you have X number of opportunities with the French language, with English, you will multiply this number by 10-fold in terms of opportunities that you can get. That have been my own experience. It means like if you only have French, it's like your window of opportunities are very narrow. But the moment you add English to your French, which means you not only have English, but you also had the Francophone background. It means you are bilingual. At that time, I think it can multiply your opportunities by 10. So coming back to the question per se, I think all the postgraduate studies that I was able to do after my pharmaceutical studies, the two master's degree that you mentioned, first master's in Europe and the second master's in the United States, and even the PhD at the University of Geneva, all those degrees were taught in English, and I wouldn't have been able to follow those programs had I not mastered English. And the MSPH degree that I did in epidemiology, MSPH, as you explained, is Master of Science in Public Health in Epidemiology, that I did in the US. And I couldn't have personally afforded studying in the US. Most of us know how expensive it is to study in the US. So I was able to achieve that thanks to a Fulbright scholarship through the US Embassy in Burkina, in Ouagadougou. And if you have ever been interested in the Fulbright process, you know that the process centers essentially on your ability to master English and be able to study in the US in top tier universities. So this is to say that in terms of being able to study in universities of high calibers of international reputations, most of those would be Anglophone universities, and if you have a certain level of English, it will make things easy for you to study there. And so that was the case for the Fulbright. They have, for instance, they have a minimum level of TOEFL score. I don't know if everybody online knows what the TOEFL is, but the TOEFL is the test of English as foreign language. So the TOEFL is like the standardized test that is used to judge whether you have the level required to study at the graduate level, even at the undergraduate level in English-speaking countries, particularly in the US. And for the Fulbright, they had, I think, a minimum of 80 out of 120 in the internet-based TOEFL test. And so it means that if you are not able to achieve that, you cannot even apply to the program, or your chances would be low to be selected. So this is in terms of studies. In terms of work opportunities, of course, uh, uh, since I left the Ministry of Health, I think more than 10 years ago, everywhere I have worked now, my current position is the third institution where I'm working in. But in every role, you have to go through a lengthy selection process, which among other things, consists of a series of interviews totally conducted in English with panel speakers, with interviewers who otherwise don't even speak French. And the only language that they could speak with you would be English. So, and to be able to go through all those steps requires you to have a certain mastery of English. So, in a nutshell, uh, having this mastery of English allowed me not only to be able to undertake the academic studies I wasn't interested in, but also to be able to go through recruitment processes that are entirely conducted in English and eventually make it to a certain level as finalists or to be eventually selected for those positions.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So basically, knowing English on top of French multiplies your opportunities by tenfold, right? So this is the word I would take from this response and then move to the next one. So what strategies helped you the most in improving your English for professional communication?
This is a little bit hard to tell because I remember using a combination of different strategies. So I would first thing first. I should indicate that when I started with a professional service provider like Hodoh, and he mentored me for some time, and I think gave me some materials, some books to prepare like TOEFL tests, CDs to listen, and other resources that were really useful to me. But then I took the matters in my own hands to try to take it to the next level, and it was essentially a personal work. So I would listen to English programs, radio programs, or watch English TV shows. Use the internet to go to the websites of um, it could be at that time BBC, Voice of America, or National Public Radio. All those international radios that are out there, you can listen on the internet. You also sometimes have the opportunity to be listening to something at the same time you are reading the transcript of the same material. It allows you to see how this you hear the word and you see how the word is written. It helps you improve your pronunciation because you are able to associate the written text and then the audio. So those are various things that I use. Of course, when I had the opportunity to go to study in English-speaking countries, that have been an opportunity for me to further improve. But I think at that level, at that time, I already had a fairly good level of English. So that's what I could say. Some people could decide to go, for instance, to Ghana or another English-speaking country to have a linguistic immersion, to be in an English-speaking environment. That could be also helpful. But I personally did not do that. So yeah, but nowadays there are so many resources out there on social media, on the internet. I think if you are really dedicated, it's much easier than it has ever been.
All right. I think this is very good to know. So a few of the strategies that you have used were, professional English services. So this can actually help provide some guidance But which is very important, you also need to have a personal investment to really learn the language. So that means you need to invest your time, you need to invest other resources, and look out there on the internet for additional resources in learning the language. So, which is very important, and I think that people need to, have that in mind throughout their process. Even though you have a professional, services helping you, you also need to work hard in order for you to really master the language and use it comfortably.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. You wanted to add something?
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
go
I
ahead.
just wanted to follow up and add something quickly that I
Yes.
overlooked,
Uh-huh.
which I think was very important for me. Because one thing that holds people from speaking at the beginning is the fact that they are looking for the words and they don't have the words. So one thing is to do is really to work on your vocabulary. And to work on your vocabulary, I used to have like a notebook. I write down every word I could think of and that I didn't know the meaning and whose meaning was not known to me in English. And I would just then use the dictionary later to sort of write down what this word means, etc., with examples and use cases. And that's how you enrich your vocabulary. And then later on, you are able to use that in real life situations, either in writing or in speaking.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think this answer actually touches a little bit, the first question on the current slide, which is saying many health professionals and students struggle with confidence in speaking English. What advice would you give them on top of what you already mentioned?
Yeah. Okay. That's, I think, it's a key point. The analogy I would make here, you cannot be a good writer if you're not a good reader, right? You read the writing of so many people, and eventually you get inspiration and you become a writer yourself. So the same way, you cannot be a good speaker if you're not a good listener. So for me, what I would say to them, listen carefully when people are speaking, and try to write down the words, note down the words that they are using when they speak, and the style that they are using, their grammar, how those words are being used. And then later on, you can do your own research and see, okay, this person used this word, these words were pronounced that way. And then from there on, you will know how you could use the same word in a similar context in your own turn in other situations. So just listen to people, listen to them when they speak, listen carefully, take notes, and later on work on your notes and make that yours and use it in your for your own speaking opportunities. That's the key thing I would add here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So all you need to do is listen, practice, write, and you can even try to live in English, right? Which means what? If you're going to the grocery shopping, you can try to, make your list in English. And I have one colleague of mine who likes to speak English wherever he sees you, he's not ashamed. He just, go for it. And I think this is actually what you need to do. You need to be intentional about your learning process and, don't be shy about it. Just go for it. So thank you for this advice. One question I would like to ask you before we move forward and give the word to the audience for them to ask their questions is actually the second question on this slide. What are some practical steps that busy healthcare professionals can take? Because I know that at the time when you started, your learning process, you were certainly busy, which is the situation of many of us, and certainly many connected in this meeting. So, what advice and what step would you suggest them to take to make sure that can still learn the English besides their very busy workload?
Mhm. Well, that's a relatively difficult question. Because I'm not sure we can provide an answer that will be a sort of one size fits all, because everybody will have a particular and individual situation that they will need to adjust to. So, but what I can say, the first thing that you need to have is the determination, the motivation, and the discipline. As I said, in my case, I think I was able to make progress because I felt it was really important for me. So the first thing is really to consider that this is something which is important for you. From the moment you think it's important, that it's essential, if not critical, for your career, I'm sure you will find time to try to take your English to the next level. In terms of practical steps, you can, for instance, budget some time during the weekend. It could be a couple of hours during the weekend, and during which you practice your English, you do your assignment, or you do your online courses, or you read some material in English. For those in the medical field, it could be a scientific journal, it could be an English document that you are reading to really practice. Um, and now, as I said, with the internet, I think everything is, I think everything is in the internet. Everything is in the internet. And now, to even make things easier, we have artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. So even me, as almost every day, I use ChatGPT. You can interrogate ChatGPT. Okay, tell me this, and this is something that you can even install on your mobile phone and have it almost anytime when you want. So, and then there are like some English podcasts. I think some English teachers have podcasts that you can subscribe to. And when you subscribe to those podcasts, you will be able to watch them at your own time and be able to absorb the lessons that are being taught there, and so forth. So as I said, there is no one size fit all. There is no magic bullet to become very good in English overnight. You just need to be wanting to do it. Give yourself some means to do it. Just say to yourself that this is like a professional development investment. It's an investment that eventually will pay off, and that's why and that's how it should be seen. The same way as a health professional, you will go for a certificate, you will go for a workshop, you will go for a training. Consider learning English the same way, and you will see that your English, your level will improve substantially.
Well, thank you very much. I think what is very important here that I would like to add is that, you can practice a little bit every day. It should take like 30 minutes, 1 hour every day, and decide to learn and practice English. I'm sure that it's definitely going to improve over time as compared to, going for a few hours or many hours here and there, like once a week or every other week and so forth. So if you are consistent with little bites, I'm sure that it's definitely going to be easier for you and better, especially if you are a very busy person. So that's what I wanted to add. I know we still have a few questions, but let me go back to the audience and see if there is anybody who has a question for the guest speaker today. If you want, you can raise your hand, unmute your mic, and speak, or you can just write the question in the chat. You may do that in English or in French. It doesn't matter. We'll find a way to hear you and respond to your question. Is there anybody who has a question?
Hello.
Yes, please introduce yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Dr. Pasawende Richard Sawadogo. So I am a student of cohort number 1. I just want to see that I'm very amazed to see Bisa, Gurunsi, and most people who was born in were born in Burkina Faso speak English easily. It's for me, it's very wonderful. It is a miracle. But if you know, this is not miracle for them because they has followed the way. For me, it is not a question. It is just a comment. They has followed the way. You know, Salomon and me, we started at university. We start medicine together. And, you know, it take another way after university, the way to be better on English. And, you know, for me, everything is an issue of volunteer, an issue of life forget. What do you want to become? What do you want to become in your future? I am very, very glad to meet Dr. Lassane Kabore again. Very, 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 it has been a while. Huh? We were together in health district. For me, I'm not surprised to listen for him today, to know that he know English, he know many things. He have PhD in epidemiology. Oh, I'm very, very, very amazed. Very, very amazed. It's very, very, very exciting. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richard. I think that as he has mentioned, he is one of our learners enrolled in the Hodoh program. And I should say that he's one of the most dynamics. And he's actually the one I was referring to when I was mentioning my colleague who is not afraid of speaking English. So as we say in Moray, he worry every day the English. So don't be afraid. Just, take a shot at it every time. And if you make a mistake, the only risk is to be corrected and do better next time. So don't be afraid at all. Keep trying. And I really appreciate your comment. And hoping to see you in class again on Monday. All right, I think there is another hand that was raised. Oh, we actually have 3 hands. I saw Dr. Tapsoba, who has her hand raised. Please go ahead, unmute, and ask your question.
Thank you, Dr. Compaore, and thank you, Dr. Is it Kabore, Lassane?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kabore. Thank you so much for sharing with us your experience, because we really need to see public professionals, health professionals dealing with English very well. It's really a way for us to learn from you. And I'm impressed by what you have shared with us. Thank you so much. I have a question. I have noticed that mostly for those in French-speaking countries, the challenge for us is mostly speaking and listening. When it's come to the fact of writing, we are more or less very good. But what tips can you share with us to better our speaking and our listening? Because this is really the great challenge we are facing. And mostly when we are dealing with native speaker, sometimes it's a bit difficult. Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Kabore. 1 minute if you can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make it short. It's a good
All right.
question. It's a good question, and it's what her remark is also accurate, because I think most of us in writing and reading, we are fairly good, probably because of the basics that we get at school. And also, I think personally, I think English grammar is relatively easier than French grammar. But when it comes to speaking and listening, that's where most of us have the issues, especially listening to native speakers, as she said. And the solution to that, I would say just it's practice, consistent practice, regular practice, exposing yourself to the accent of native speakers. In my case, because I was preparing really hard for the TOEFL test, I was exposed to different resources, different conversation in English speaking. And with time, I was able to catch the nuances that you can have in those languages. And the speaking is, as I said, just practice, listen to others speak, steal, quote unquote, steal their words and make their words yours and use them in your own speaking. Over.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think this is a very good tip. Very good tips. And I appreciate Dr. Kabore for this answer. I'll now give the word to Dr. Brice Drabo, who has a question for us. We'll try to answer it very swiftly as well before we move to Dr. Kabore Wilfred, and we'll stop the questions from the audience at this stage. So yeah, Dr. Brice, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lassane Kabore. That it is very impressive to see how far you were able to go. So I just wanted to start with that comment and say how proud I am to have a brother from Burkina Faso abroad with all you are achieving. And I would like to ask, my question is just to ask if you are planning to bring some of your expertise back in Burkina Faso one day.
Excellent. Yes, go ahead, Dr. Kabore.
Yeah.
I guess what you're doing is already bringing back your expertise, but I guess there are other projects that can fit into, the answer to that question. So go ahead.
Yeah, good question, and thanks for the good and kind words. And I'm also happy to see that our colleagues that are intervening also have a fairly good English. Richard and the lady Yolande and yourself. I think your speaking is already fairly good, and you just need just some slight improvement, and then you'll be there. In terms of course, the fatherland remains the fatherland, so we can never forget the fatherland. And as Salomo was saying, we find ourselves, I think, our times in the US overlapped. I was doing my master's, you were also there, and we were having some discussion. Eventually, he came back, and I came back. And so this is to say that, yeah, there are some ways I try to contribute as I can. I intervene. I teach part-time to some master's program. Sometimes I do webinars with colleagues, and so especially in my field, in vaccinology, I'm very active in this field, and I'm happy for people to reach out to me if they have needs in those particular areas, and I usually open to collaboration. But what I can say, in my free time, I try to collaborate as I can with colleagues in the countries. I teach part-time to some university programs, especially University Naziboni, and also do webinars with other colleagues. Thanks. Over.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, for your information, maybe you might not know him, Kabore, but Dr. Drabo is, I think, currently an internal medicine doctor in the United States.
Okay.
He's also from Burkina, so he's very likely, the second guest speaker after you. So just for you to be aware of that. So thank you very much, Dr. Drabo and Dr. Kabore, for your answer. I would like to ask Kabore Wilfred, if you do not mind, please use our email, okay? and send a question to us so that we can answer that, because we really need to stop at 4:30 sharp. We have no wiggle room for that, so apologies for not taking your question. Now, I'd like to ask Dr. Kabore for his closing word before we go ahead and stop the meeting.
Mm-hmm. So, again, I think your initiative is very commendable to really help health professionals improve their English. As I said, it will open numerous lots of opportunities for them. As you just said, I've been working with international organizations, and I can see how difficult it is for some of our colleagues to get access to certain positions, not because they are not technically qualified. I'm sure some are very high, even overqualified technically, but unfortunately, the selection process, which is essentially conducted in English, most of the time would be a deal breaker for them, and they won't be able it will remain a sort of glass ceiling for them. And now you will be able to help people to have more opportunities, which is very good. So my last words in terms of what I can say to people who are really in this process or who are contemplating learning English, I would say, I think the first thing is having very clear goal and objectives. What do you want to do with the English that you are learning? The first thing. Once your goals and objectives are very clearly defined, the next thing you need is a high motivation and discipline. And that's it. Once you have clear goals, motivation, discipline, clear goals, objective, discipline, motivation, then nothing will be able to stop you. The sky will be your limit.
Excellent. Sky will be the limit if you decide to learn English and you put the resources into it. And so if you're looking for any professional help to push you through, we're here to help you out. Thank you, everybody, for connecting today. It was a pleasure having you all. Thank you very much, Dr. Lassane Kabore, for making the time to come and discuss with us, share with us your tips and your experience in learning English. We are going to definitely come back with another lecturer, another guest speaker, and it'd be great if you come back again and share additional, lessons and tricks with us. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you for the next guest lecture, or just see you in class if you decide to enroll. So I look forward to seeing and meeting all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
When ko nyindare.
Amina ya Rabbi.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.